deep in the remote backcountry of Yellowstone National Park, where the winter solstice blankets the landscape in an unforgiving shroud of snow and shadow. The air bites like 1,000 tiny knives, the temperature plummeting to a bone-chilling 10 degrees Fahrenheit as dusk creeps in. Our hiker, let's call him Alex, a seasoned outdoorsman but no stranger to the hubris that can turn a day hike into a nightmare, trudges through knee-deep drifts, his breath fogging the dimming light. He's miles from the trailhead, having ventured off-path to chase a rumored viewpoint. But now the forest closes in like a living trap. Pines tower overhead, their branches heavy with ice, whispering warnings in the wind. The crunch of snow under his boots is the only sound, until a distant howl pierces the silence. Wolves. Not just any wolves, a pack known to roam these parts, emboldened by the harsh winter that drives them to desperate hunts. Imagine you're in Alex's boots for a moment. Heart pounding, the realization hitting like an avalanche. What would you do if you were lost out here, with night falling fast and predators on the prowl? That's the question we're diving into today. A real-world survival tale that pushes the limits of bushcraft and self-reliance. Alex isn't panicking yet, but he knows the stats. Hypothermia can set in within hours in these conditions, and wolf encounters, while rare, turn deadly when you're alone and vulnerable. He's got a basic pack, a multi-tool, fire starter, emergency blanket, some cordage, and a few energy bars. But no tent, no satellite phone signal in this valley. Prepping lesson number 1. Always carry a map and compass, even on short hikes, because Mother Nature doesn't care about your plans. As the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in bruised purples and blacks, Alex stops to assess. His first move, mental inventory, a core self-reliance strategy. He checks his gear, notes the dropping temperature, and scans the environment for hazards. The ground is uneven, dotted with fallen logs and thick underbrush, perfect for twisting an ankle in the dark. But more pressing, those howls are getting closer, echoing through the trees like a sinister chorus. Wolves in Yellowstone aren't typically aggressive toward humans, but a lone hiker smelling of sweat and fear? That's a potential target, especially if the pack is hungry after a lean season. Alex remembers the warnings from park rangers. Avoid eye contact, make yourself big, but above all, don't run. It triggers their prey drive. He needs shelter, fast. Not just any shelter, one that can withstand the cold and whatever lurks in the night. Bushcraft 101 kicks in location is key. He spots a slight rise in the terrain, away from low-lying areas where cold air pools and flash floods could hit if a thaw comes unexpectedly. It's near a cluster of evergreens for windbreak and a source of materials. But danger lurks in the details. Thorny hawthorn bushes nearby could snag clothing or cause injuries if not handled right. Yet they might just be his salvation. As he gathers his thoughts, another howl, closer this time, sends a shiver down his spine unrelated to the cold. Self-reliance isn't about gear. It's about mindset. Alex breathes deep, channeling that inner calm. Prioritize, adapt, survive. Moving with purpose now, he starts scavenging. Dead branches for framework, pine boughs for insulation, classic debris hut basics. But with wolves in mind, he eyes those thorny branches. A standard lean-to won't cut it. He needs fortification. Here's where prepping pays off. Alex recalls emergency readiness drills, emphasizing layered defenses against animal threats. He strips bark from a sapling with his multi-tool, fashioning crude stakes. The wind picks up, whipping snow into his face, a reminder of the extreme weather hazard compounding the animal danger. Visibility drops. He could easily miss a root or rock, leading to a fall that leaves him immobilized. Easy pickings for the pack. As he works, the forest comes alive with subtle threats. Rustling in the underbrush. Is it wind or eyes watching? Survival warning. In wolf territory, assume you're being scouted. Alex uses noise-making techniques early, clapping hands, shouting to assert presence without wasting energy. But energy conservation is crucial. He's already burning calories in the cold. Hydration? He'll melt snow later, but for now, focus on the build. The hut takes shape. A low, A-frame structure, piled high with debris for camouflage and warmth. He weaves in those thorny branches around the perimeter, creating a natural barrier that could deter curious snouts. It's not pretty, but it's practical, a testament to Bushcraft's no-frills ethos. The temperature continues to drop, frost nipping at exposed skin. Alex burrows inside for a test, feeling the insulating layer trap his body heat. It's cramped, but effective against hypothermia. Yet, as darkness fully engulfs the woods, the howls multiply. The pack is circling, drawn by curiosity or the faint scent of his trail. Mental strategy. Stay vigilant, but don't let fear paralyze. He knows fire will be his next ally, a dual-purpose tool for warmth and deterrence. But gathering tinder in the dark? Risky, with hidden pitfalls under the snow. This is where self-reliance shines, turning fear into fuel. If this is giving you chills and you want more of this real survival stuff, pause for 2 seconds, subscribe and hit the bell. Done? Good. Now let's see what happened next. Building the fortress, advanced shelter construction, and defensive bushcraft. With the debris hut's basic frame in place, Alex knows a standard shelter won't be enough tonight. The howls are no longer distant echoes. They're directional now, coming from multiple points around his position. The pack is closing the net, testing whether this lone figure in their territory is predator or prey. Time to turn this pile of sticks and snow into something that screams, not worth the trouble. Alex crawls out of the half-finished hut and begins the critical reinforcement phase. First lesson in extreme bushcraft. Insulation is survival, but in predator country, deterrence is priority 1. He targets the thick clumps of hawthorn and wild rose bushes growing in tangled patches nearby. Their thorns are vicious, long, curved, and sharp enough to tear flesh. Perfect. Using his multi-tool saw blade, he carefully harvests arm-length branches, avoiding the inevitable scratches that come with the job. Blood in the air would only invite trouble faster. Survival warning. When working with thorny materials in the dark, move slowly and deliberately. A deep puncture wound out here could mean infection or blood loss you can't afford. He weaves the thorny branches into a dense barrier around the entire perimeter of the shelter, interlacing them like natural barbed wire. The entrance, a low crawl space barely wide enough for his body, gets the heaviest fortification. A lattice of thorns so thick that anything trying to force its way in would pay a painful price. This isn't just about physical defense. It's psychological. Wolves are intelligent and opportunistic. If the cost of investigation looks too high, they'll often move on to easier prospects. Next comes insulation and camouflage. Alex piles on layer after layer of pine boughs, starting at the ground and working upward in an overlapping shingle pattern. Each layer traps dead air, creating a thermal barrier against the plunging temperatures. He stuffs handfuls of dry leaves and moss into gaps, then covers the entire structure with a thick blanket of snow for additional insulation and to break up his outline against the white landscape. From a distance, the shelter now looks like just another snow-covered mound of debris. Nothing worth investigating. Inside, he digs out a small sleeping platform slightly above ground level to avoid conductive heat loss into the frozen earth. He lines it with more pine boughs, the needles creating a surprisingly comfortable and aromatic bed. Prepping hack. Always carry a contractor-grade trash bag in your kit. Alex pulls his out now, cutting it open to use as a vapor barrier between his body and the boughs, keeping moisture from his breath and sweat from soaking into the insulation and robbing him of warmth later. But the real game changer is still missing. Fire. A controlled fire inside or directly in front of the shelter opening will be his ultimate deterrent. Wolves fear fire instinctively, and the smoke will help mask his human scent while providing precious warmth. Problem is, it's now fully dark. Moving away from the shelter to gather firewood means leaving his fortified position and potentially walking straight into the pack. Self-reliance demands calculated risk. Alex listens intently. The howls have paused, replaced by occasional yips and the soft crunch of paws on snow. They're close but not yet committed. He decides on a compromise. A small fire just inside the entrance, built in a shallow Dakota fire hole, he digs with his hands and multi-tool. This bushcraft classic minimizes light signature while maximizing heat reflection and smoke dispersion. He gathers tinder and kindling from directly under the shelter's overhang, dry material he'd wisely stockpiled earlier. Birch bark shavings for ignition, pencil-thick twigs in a teepee structure, then slightly larger fuel arranged for easy feeding without leaving the shelter. One strike of his ferro rod sends sparks cascading onto the prepared tinder nest. A gentle breath coaxes flame to life. Within minutes, he has a small but hot fire burning cleanly, its glow flickering across the thorn barrier like a warning beacon. The heat is immediate and profound, radiating into the small space and turning the shelter from a cold trap into a viable overnight refuge. As the fire settles into steady coals, Alex employs another critical technique: scent masking. He tosses handfuls of green pine needles onto the flames, creating thick aromatic smoke that billows out the entrance and envelopes the area. The strong resinous smell overpowers his human odor, making it harder for the wolves to pinpoint him. Mental note for viewers: in bear or wolf country, managing your scent signature is as important as any physical defense. Settled now with his back against the rear wall, fire between him and the entrance, Alex allows himself a moment of grim satisfaction. The shelter is complete, a thorny fortress built entirely from the landscape around him. But the night is young, and the pack hasn't given up yet. The first direct contact is only minutes away. Alex's story is not end, this is just the first part of the story. The rest is coming in the next video, so make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell icon.